Hey friends, welcome back to the Programming Fields, where we learn to build real-world features step by step. I'm your host Umesh Rana, and in this video, we are going to build a multiple file uploads system with drag and drop support. Also, there will be live image and file previews and a clean modern design using Laravel 12, React, Inertia, and Tailwind CSS. This is more than just uploading files. In this video, you will learn how to select or drag multiple files at once. There will be instant preview image before upload. We will display the uploaded file name and icons. Also, there will be remove option against every files, so you can remove any file before clicking upload. And submit everything using Inertia's useForm method. So you can use this in many places like admin dashboards, profile forms, blog CMS, or anything that deal with the file uploads. And this is going to be a beginner friendly, fully responsive, and ready to plug into your Laravel application. You will also learn the logic behind it, how to manage previews, file data, and make it all work smoothly together. So if that sounds exciting, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's get started building this drag and drop multiple file uploads from start to finish. So I will quickly jump to the terminal and I will just set up a fresh Laravel 12 application using a Laravel installer. So in the terminal, I will just use Laravel new and I will just enter the project name. So I will enter the project name as Laravel 12 file uploads. I will hit enter. And this prompted which starter kit would you like to install. I will go with React because I'm going to implement multiple file upload using React. So I will hit enter. And for the authentication, I will go with the Laravel's built-in authentication. And if you are new to this channel, we already built WorkOS authentication series. So if you missed that series, you can check out that playlist. As of now, I will go with the Laravel's built-in authentication. And regarding the testing framework, I will go with the default paste. And this is installing Laravel 12 with React starter kit. And the installation has been completed. This is installing paste. And at last, it is asking, would you like to run npm install? Yes, because we are installing React.js. So this will need front-end dependencies. So let's go with yes. And the project setup is done. Now we can navigate to the project folder. And I will open this in the VS Code editor. And this shown error as command not found. I will retry to open in the VS Code editor. Yes, and this is opened now. Now let me zoom in. Again I will switch back to the terminal. And here I will just use wallet link command so that this project folder will be linked with wallet path. Further I will just use wallet park command. And now in the next step, I will just run npm run dev. Let's hit enter. And yes, the project is started. Now we'll navigate to the browser. And in the new tab, I will access the application as Laravel 12 file uploads. And further we'll have to add .test. Let's hit enter. And yes, we are able to open the application. And let me zoom in the screen first. Firstly, I will do sign up. So I'll click on register. And I will just enter the profile name. I will enter the password. I will confirm it. And I will click on create account. Yes, after successful registration, we have landed on the dashboard page. From this settings, I will quickly change this appearance to light. Okay. Now in the next step, I will add a sidebar menu in order to upload files. So I will navigate to the code editor. Under the resources, JS, we have components. Here we have the app sidebar.tsx. Let's open this. And inside the main nav items, I will add one more nav item. So I'll just replicate this and I will change the title as FileUploads. Also will specify the href to FileUploads and I will change the icon to upload. Now regarding this href, we will have to define the route and we will navigate to the routes web.php and here I will just create one more route. So this will be route : get and I will specify the endpoint name as FileUploads. And in order to render this endpoint, I will create one controller so that we can just define one function inside that controller in order to render the component. So let's navigate to the terminal. I will duplicate this terminal and I will create one controller using PHP artisan command and I will name it as FileUpload controller. Let's hit enter. Yes, the controller has been created. Now inside this route, I will just import that controller and I will wrap that in a group. So I will use route controller and I will specify the controller name as FileUpload controller class and I will group it for rendering multiple routes, just like this. Now I will keep this route inside the group. Now in the next parameter, I will define one function as index so that we can render one component. Now in order to render the component, firstly we will have to create a component. But before that, let's navigate to this controller and let's define this function as index. Okay. And here we will return inertia render. Okay. And inside this render function, I will pass the component name. So the component name should be like FileUploads. So I will define component as FileUploads and let's import this inertia. This has imported. Now let's quickly jump to the resources JS and inside pages, I will create one component as FileUploads.tsx. The component has been created. Now I will quickly design this component. So firstly, I will navigate to the dashboard component and I will just copy this layout. I will navigate to the FileUpload component and I will paste it here. Now I will change the function name as FileUploads and this breadcrumbs will be manage files. Let's set the href to FileUploads. Let's update this title to manage files. This is done. Now I will just clean these placeholder div. These are not required. I will keep this div only. Now inside this div, we will have to design the FileUpload component. Firstly, I will remove the above import. This is not needed now. So this will be FileUpload wrapper. Okay. Now before designing this, if I will navigate to the browser, here we have the FileUploads. I will click on this and yes, we are able to navigate on that component. Now let's quickly design the component. So inside this div, firstly let me dock this window. Okay. Here I will create one more div having class, just like I will set this to margin X of auto and margin top of 10. And I will set the width of this component of the FileUpload because we are going to design drag and drop FileUpload. So I will set this to rounded MD and I will set the padding of 10. We can add shadow MD, just like this. Now inside this div, I will design a form. So I will use form component. And inside the form, firstly I will create one label. And this label will be for just like drop zone. So I will create one element as drop zone. And we will have to set it as HTML4. And inside the label, I will add class name and I will set class as flags. I will set a min height just like 60 and I will specify width full, and we can set cursor to pointer, and we can add flags column because we have defined flags property here, so that element will be displayed column wise. We can align those using item center and justify center in order to keep in the center. Also we can set rounded MD, and we can specify border so that it will be differentiated for drag and drop area. So we'll set border and we can define border type as dashed. Okay. And we can set the color to border gray or anything just based on that. Also we can define the background. So I will set this to BG gray just like 50. So this will be something light color, and we can set the transition. And on hover of that, I will just use BG gray of 100 so that it will be more darker than actual background. Okay, this is done. Now regarding the event, I will come to that later. Firstly, let's prepare the design. So after the label, I will just create one input and I will define the ID as drop zone, this one. And this will be type of file, and we can set the multiple attribute because we are going to upload multiple files or images. And I will just hide this because we are going to manage drag and drop using the label only, so that this input type won't be visible in the form. So I will set this to hidden. This is done. And after this input, we have this label closed. Let's save. Let's navigate to the browser, and we have the interface something like this. Now here at the center of this div, I will add one FileUpload icon. So just after this input, I will use Lucid icon, upload icon here. So I will use upload from Lucid, and we can set the class name attribute in order to set the height and width of the icon. So we can set the icon like height of 10, width of 10. Let's check now. Yes, this is visible, or we can increase this to 16. Yes, this is perfect. Now just below this icon, I will add a few label in order to display the message like please upload or drag and drop files. So I will add one paragraph element here. I will add the label as click to upload or drag and drop. Now I will split this text into two parts. So here I will use a span tag. So I will wrap this first text into the span so that we can style that. And I will set the class as semi-bold. Okay. Now in the main paragraph, I will set the class to text SM, and I will define the color as text gray like 500. I will navigate to the browser, and we can set margin top. So I will add margin Y of 2. Okay. Yes. And we can change the color to 600. Now just below this label, I will add one more paragraph element in order to show the information like what we are going to upload. So I will add information just like any file type, and I will set max 5 MB each, just like this. This can be based on your validation. So we will set the validation at the server side that I will show you in the next step. And we can set the class name here, text extra small, okay. And we can set the color to text gray 600, similar to this. And if we navigate to the browser, yes, this is visible. Now in the next step, I will add one submit button just below this. So here, after this label, I will add one submit button. So I will use button and type will be submit, and I will set the label as upload file. Now in order to style this button, I will add few classes just like cursor pointer, rounded, and I will set bg purple, and I will set this to 500. Also I will set padding X just like 4, and if we'll check, okay, we can set text white and padding Y as 2, and also we can set font bold or semi bold, and we can add hover effect as well. So I will add hover bg purple, and I will set the opacity to 600. Okay, this is working. And also we can add margin from top. So I will add margin top 4. Yes. So the basic design is ready. Now we have to work on the functionality. So I will quickly jump to the functionality part now. So firstly, we have to handle the file when we will select or click on that input file. So whenever I'll just click on this input element, because this entire label area is clickable, okay. So whenever I'll just click on this, I should pick one file, and that should be shown here as a preview. So let's handle this file capture functionality. So inside the input, I will define onChange event, and inside this event, let's define the function like handle file change, and we will have to define the function here just before this return. So I will define one fat arrow function as const handle file change equals, and inside this function we'll have to capture the event, and this event will be type of React dot change event, and here we will have to specify what type of event it is. So this is going to be HTML input element, because we have input type file, okay. Now inside this, I will just console the file using this event.target.files. So I will use array.from, and I will capture this file using event.target.files, okay. If it is not there, then I will initialize this with empty array, just like this. So this is going to be handle file change function. Now let's jump to the browser, and here let's open the developer console. I will inspect it, and in the console, let me clear this first. Let me zoom this console window. Okay. Now I will just click on this file upload, and here I will select any files. So as of now, we can select multiple files because we have added multiple attributes, just like this. So I'll select multiple files and I'll click on open. And in the console, we can see we have total 4 files selected. So we are able to see the uploaded files here. So this is our click upload. So we are able to capture the files using this click. Okay. But now we have to work on the drag and drop. So whenever we will drag any file and drop to this area, this should capture those files. Alright. So for that, we will have to define one more event inside the drop area. So we have created this label in order to make this draggable area. So inside this label, we have to define one event so that when we will drag and drop the file in this bordered area, which is shaded, this would capture the file. So this is coming inside this label itself. If I will just point out to this element, and if I will show you, this entire drop zone area is inside label only. So based on this, we can define the event inside label itself. So inside this label, I will define one more event as onDrop. Okay. And on drop, I will handle drop functionality. So we'll have to capture the selected files. So I will define one more function as handle drop. Now let's copy this handle drop function, and here I will define it. This will be handle drop function. So again, let's define handle drop function, and this will be again a fat arrow function. Now inside this handle drop function, again we have to capture the event, and this time this will be react.drag event, because we are going to drag and drop the file. So this will be drag event, and inside this we'll have to specify the prop type as HTML label element. Now similar to this handle file change, I will just copy this console and I will add it here. Now this is a label element, so this won't return the event.target.files. Instead, we will have to capture the file using data transfer. Okay. Now let's navigate to the browser and let's open the console window. I will clear it, and now I will try to drag and drop the files inside this draggable area. Now I will quickly drag some files inside this. So I will select these two files and I will just drop it inside this draggable area. When I dropped it, we can see the files were not dropped inside that area, and these files are opened in the new tab. So for this, we will have to just prevent the default attribute of this drag area. So inside the label, we will have to define one more event as onDragOver. And inside this, we will have to prevent the default behavior. So we will write event.preventDefault. This is done. Now let's navigate to the browser again. Let's refresh. And now let's try to drag and drop the files. So again, I'll select these two files and I will drop it inside this. Still we can see the files are opening in the new tab, but in the console, we saw that we have two files selected. So firstly, we will have to prevent the default behavior inside this handle drop, because when we are dropping the file, here we will have to prevent that using event.preventDefault. Now I will navigate to the browser again. I will refresh it. And one more time, I will try to drag and drop the files. I have selected these two files. I will drop it inside this area. Yes, this time we can see the files are not open the new tab. It kept inside the draggable area only. And here in the console, we received two files object. So this is working. Now we have to work on the preview functionality so that whenever we will select any file, those selected files will be displayed here based on the type. If it is type of image, then we will show that in the image element. Else, if it is file like PDF or other files, then we will simply link that here. So let's implement this functionality now. So firstly, we will start with this handle drop. I'll remove this console and I will assign the files into a variable just like const selected files. Okay. And I will set the files into the state variable. So for managing the state and form handling, I will be using Inertia useForm hook. So I will import Inertia useForm function here, and I will extract the properties just like data, and this will be state like set data. We can get errors, and further we have processing, reset, and also for submitting the form we can use post method, and these all will be extracted from useForm. Okay, and inside this we'll have to define the property which we want to submit through the form. And here let's define the props type as files, because we are going to handle file as of now, and this will be type of file of array. Now inside this useForm, let's define this files and initialize it with empty array. Now we will have to import this useForm using Inertia.js React. Now we can use these all properties inside this component. So after getting the files, we can set these to state. So I will use set data, and I will define one key as files because we have already defined the variable as files. So we can set in the same key as files, and we will just pass the selected files. Okay, and the same thing we will have to add it for handle file change as well here, and I will capture this in a variable just like selected files. Okay, now we are able to set the files in the state variable. Now from that we will have to implement the preview functionality. So the file preview will be needed for both event like on click and on drop. So better we can define one common function, and that we will call in both events. So here I will define one function as const preview files just like this, and here we will have to capture the files. So I will define one variable as files, and let's specify the type as type of file, and this will be type of array. Now inside this preview files, I will iterate the incoming files. So I will use files.forEach function, and here I will extract the file and its index just like this. Now inside this I will use if condition, and I will check if file.type.starts with, so that we can check if the selected file is type of image or any other type of file. If it is type of image, then we have to render the image in image element so that it will be visible properly. Now next I will use file reader class. So I will define one variable as const reader, and I will create one instance of file reader. Now from this file reader I will use onload, and when the file is loaded, inside this we have to set the image which are going to be preview in a state variable. So I will define one more variable here as const previews, and this will be type of string of array, and I will initialize it with empty array. Now inside the array I will push those files because we will have more than one files. So I will set previews, and I will pass this as index, and further I will use reader.result, and this will be type of string. Now next I will use if previews dot length is equals the selected file dot length. If it is equal, then I will set the preview into one state variable. So better I can define one more state variable here at the top. Const preview URLs, and the function will be set preview URLs, and this will be type of array. So I will use state hook, and I will initialize it with empty array here. And let's define the props type as string, and also this can support null. Now let's import this use state hook using React, and this will be type of array, just like this. Now we can use this state in order to capture the selected file for the preview. So I will use set preview URLs function, and inside this I will get the previews, means the array that we are setting here. And now after this if condition, I will use reader dot read as data URL, so that this will read the file URL. Now if it is not type of image, then here I will use else condition, and else I will set this preview index to null. Okay, so only in the preview we will push the type of image in order to display the image in the image element. Else for the other file types we will display that in the normal label, so that we won't push in the previews state. For that I will use if previews dot length equals files dot length, then I will use set previews URLs to previews, just like this. And further I will use set preview URLs, and inside that I will pass preview. This will be for initial rendering. Now I will call this function inside the handle drop. So after this state, I will call the function as preview files. Here we are calling preview files, and inside this we have to pass the selected files. Also we will have to call the same function here in the handle file change as well. This is file preview. Now just above this function I will just try to use console.log preview URLs, so that we can check the preview file URLs. Now let's navigate to the browser. Let me refresh this. Currently this is empty array. Now let me try to click on this file input. I will select these two files, and yes, in the array we are getting two file URL. Now same thing, if we'll just try to drag and drop the file, so I will select this single file and I will drop it here, and yes, on drop we got the file URL here. Now in the next step we will render this image in the preview mode here, just above this upload file button. So let's implement this. So I will scroll down, and here after this label I will design a layout in order to preview the file. So we will have to display the file from the file preview URL which we set in this state. So we will write preview URLs dot sum, because we have to extract the URL from this state variable. Inside this I will extract URL, and I will write if it is URL, then I will render one div here. So I will write div, and I will set some class name inside this, like margin top of 6, and I will break this in a grid so that if we will have more than one images, then the images will be rendering one after one. And I will break this grid into column of 2. So I will write grid columns 2, and between the column I will set the gap as 4. Further, I will just break the grid into larger screen, and I will break this to columns 4, just like this. Now inside this div, I will render the data. So I will write data dot files, because we are submitting the files to the server side in the data. So we will write data dot files dot map, and from this I will extract the file and its index. Now further, I will check if the preview URL contains the current index, because we are pushing the files in a specific index. Alright, if it is there, then inside this I will render image. So I will wrap this in a div again. Else, if it is not there, I will set this to null. Let me save it first. Now inside this div, I will pass few attributes, just like firstly we will have to set the unique key props. So I will set key, and I will pass the current index. Also will pass some classes inside this. So I will add flags, and I will set this to flags column, and we can set items center in order to set the center aligned. And further we can set rounded MD, and we will set border having color as border gray 300. Next we will set background of white, and padding 2. Also will set shadow as MD. Now inside this I will render the image into image element. So I will write image, and in the source I will pass the preview URL, and inside that I will extract it using index, because we have to render multiple images here, and we will have to define the type as string. Also we can set alt attribute. So in the alt attribute I will set this to dynamic. So I will set preview, and I will pass the index, and further I will set some classes to set the width and height of the preview image. So I will set rounded MD, height I will set this to 24, and width will be 24 again, and I will set object cover so that the image will be rendered full, and we will have this self closing here, and here this will be preview URL. Okay, this is done. Let's navigate to the browser, and let's refresh once. Now let me try dragging and dropping the files inside this. So I will select these two images, and I will drop it inside this draggable area. Yes, when I drop the files inside the draggable area, we can see we have the preview of these two images. We can increase the height and width as per your need. So here we can set 32. So this will look like this. Okay. Now after rendering the images, I want to add one button to remove the selected images here. So if you need to remove any images before submitting this to server side, you can remove that here. So for that I will just design one more button here, just above this image element. This will be button to remove selected image. Okay. So just below this, I will add one button of type button, and in the text, I will add one icon which will be lucid X. Okay. So this will create cross icon, and I will set the size to 14. Now we will have to place this button at this position. Currently this is showing here. Firstly, let's design the button. So I will apply few classes inside this. Class name, I will set cursor pointer bg red 500, and I will set text of white, padding 1, and also I will apply the hover effect. So I will write hover bg red, and this will be 600. just like this. Now if we'll check out to the browser, this is showing like this. I will make this to rounded. So I will apply class as rounded MD, or we can apply this to rounded full so that it will be rounded circle, just like this. Now we have to align this button position. So I want this to be placed at the right top corner here. So for that, I will set the position to absolute, and the parent element, we have this div. Here I will apply position as relative. Now I will set the top and right position. So from top, I will set this to 1, and also from right, I will set this to 1. Yes, the button is in the right place here. Now we have to apply the onClick event on the button, so that when we will click on this delete, this will remove the selected file from this preview state variable by matching the index. Okay, that means if we'll click on this button, this will remove this particular image from that array. Same thing, if we'll remove the second one, this should remove the second image from that array. So let's apply the onClick event on the button. So I will apply onClick event. Inside this, I will define one function as handle remove, and here we will have to pass the current index of the image. Now I will copy this function name, I will scroll to top, and here we'll define the function as handle remove, and I will define one fat arrow function, just like this. Now inside this function, we will have to capture the index, and this will be type of number. Further, we will have to get the state variable. So I will write const updated files, and here I will get the files from data.files, which is state. Okay, and also we'll have to get the preview URL, because when we will remove any file by clicking on the delete button, this will update the state data. And here we have two states. The first state is sending the data to the server, and the second state is to preview the files in the front end. So this will be updated preview, and here this will be preview URLs, just like this. Now from these both states, we will have to remove that particular item or image by matching the index. So we'll write updated files dot splice function, so that it will remove the item from that array based on the index. And here I will pass the index, and from that index, this will remove one item. Same thing, I will add it for update previews. Okay. Now after updating this, again we will have to update the changes into the state variables. So we'll write set data, and again we will set the data as files key, and I will apply the updated files here. And same thing, I will set the updated previews without any key, and we have the function as set preview URLs. Now let's navigate to the browser again, and if we'll try to remove this file, yes, the image has been removed from the preview and also from the data. Same thing, if we'll try to remove this one, yes, the files are removed, and here we have the empty array now. So this is working. Now let's suppose if I have chosen any other file rather than image, just like PDF, and if we'll drop it here, currently this is not rendering because we have separated the preview for image and files. So again for the files, we will have to design the same layout, and this will be in other element, just like in paragraph tag, we will just show the file name. So this is file preview for image, and after this, here we will design one more for non-image, means for files only. And for rendering the file preview, this will be coming from the data, which will be state, because in the preview state variable, we are not setting files for preview. So we'll write data.files.sum. So the first parameter, I will keep it as underscore. And in the second parameter, I will set the index because I need only index here. And inside this, I will check if not preview URLs is current index. Then here I will have to render that section. So I will write div and I will apply some classes here, just like margin top of 3. And again, I will create one grid layout for rendering the file preview. So this will be for other files rather than image. And here again, I will break this in grid columns of 1 because the file name could be larger. Okay. So this should take full width layout. And I will set gap between the files as 2. Now here I will render the file. So I will write data.files and I will map those files. Inside this, I will extract the file and file index. Now inside this, again I will check if not preview URLs having the current index. Then only I will render the div. So I will write div because inside this section, I want to render the file only, not the images. And for the else part, this will be null again. Now inside this div, again we want the same layout. So I'll just copy these all lines from here and I will paste it inside this. Now instead of this image, I will create one span tag, and inside this span, I will display the file.name. This is done. Let's save and let's navigate to the browser. Let me refresh once. And I will just drag and drop the PDF file. Yes, here we have the file preview. Let me resize it once. And here for the file preview, we can set the icon position from top, just like 1.5 or 1.6. Yes, this is correct now. And the delete functionality of this file preview will be working same as we have implemented for the image. So if you try to remove this uploaded file, yes, this has removed now. Now if you will try to upload image plus PDF both, just like this. Okay, here we have two different previews, just like for image, the preview is showing in image element, and for the file, this is showing only name here. If we will remove this image preview, yes, this got removed, and same thing for this file. So the file browse, selection and remove is working. Now we will have to work on the submit functionality. So after selecting the file from here, when we will click on this upload, the selected file or images should be submitted to the server side, and at the server side, the file should be uploaded. So for this, we will have to define the submit handler inside this form. So we'll define the event as on submit, and I will define one function as handle submit. Now I will copy this function name, and here before this return, I will define submit form handler. And let's define the function as const handle submit. I will define this fat arrow function again, and here I will capture the event. So I will use event, and this will be type of React dot form event. And firstly, I will just prevent the submit behavior of this form using event.prevent default. Now I have to submit the form using post method. So using the useForm, we already imported this post method here. So I will be using this post. Okay, I will copy this method, and here we will write submit form request. So I will use post method, and inside this I will be using route function in order to specify the endpoint on which this form will be submitted. So I will define one endpoint like upload files, and in the second argument we will capture the response using on success callback. So here I will catch the response in a variable like response, and here I will define the type as object. Now inside this, I will just console the response. Okay. And after submitting the form, we will have to reset the form, and also we will have to reset the preview state to null. So we'll write set preview URLs to empty array. This is done. Now in the next step, we will have to define the route inside web.php. So let's copy this endpoint. Let's navigate to the web.php. And here after this route, we will have to define the post route because we are submitting the form data. Okay. And we'll paste that endpoint name as upload files. Now in the second argument, we will have to define the method name. So I will add method name as upload files, and I will give a name to this route as upload files. Now let's copy this function name and let's navigate to the FileUpload controller. And here after this index function, I will define that method as upload files. So this will be public function upload files, and we need illuminate HTTP request in order to get the file data. So in the parameter, we are getting illuminate HTTP request, and its object is request. Now firstly, I will add one try catch block just for handling the exception. Okay. And here if you will have any error, I will return the response in the JSON format. So here we'll specify the key as status will be error, and in the message we will return the message, and this will be 500. We'll have to import this exception class here. Now just above this try block, firstly we will validate the form data. So I will use $request validate function, and inside this array we will have to write the validation rules. So from the client side, that means from the form, we are having the key as files in the state. So I will set the rule as required, and this will be type of array. Now inside the array, we will have more than one files. So we can write files dot asterisk. Okay. And here we can specify the rule to accept the file inside the array. The file should be a proper file, and we can specify the MIMEs as JPG, JPEG, PNG, BMP, WebP, SVG. So these all are of image type. Okay. Now apart from the image, we can set PDF, doc, docs, okay, XLS, XLSX, CSV, TXT, and also we can have RTF. Okay. We can accept zip file as well. And further you can add more validation rules as per your need. Also we can set max as 5120 so that this will accept 5 MB. Now based on this validation rule, we will have to capture the validation error response at the client side. So here in the form, after this preview section, just above this button, I will display validation error message. Okay. So for rendering the validation error message, the inertia useForm function provides error object here. This one, this is errors object. So from here, we can extract the validation errors messages. So let's copy and let's navigate here. And here I will check if errors dot files, that means if errors have files error, then this will render one paragraph element just like this. And inside this paragraph element, I will pass some classes like margin top of 2, text small, and I will set font to semi bold, and the color will be text red of 500. And inside this, I will render the validation error message like errors dot files. Let's save. So this is done. Now also we have one more property from useForm, which is processing. So let's copy this and we will apply here just in order to disable the button. So here I will check disabled, and if it is processing, then will be true, else will be false. And same thing we can apply for the text as well. So we will check if we have processing, then the button text will be uploading, else it will be upload. And let's navigate to the FileUpload controller. And here we already added this validation rules. Now let's check for the validation error messages. Let's refresh this application and let's try to click on upload file. Yes, we are getting the message as the files field is required. So the validation rules and error messages are handled now. Now in the next step, we have to move ahead to upload the files. So for uploading the files, firstly I will extract the files from the request, and from the request file object we are having the key as files. Now here we have the multiple files, right? So I will iterate those all files using the for each loop. So it will be for each $files as $file, and we will have to upload the file one by one. So inside this I will use file store method so that this will store the file in the storage folder, and here we will have to specify the file path. So I want this to be stored in the public with a new folder as files. Okay, this is done. And let's capture a response in multi-dimension array just like $response, and here we will define this variable. Now after this for each, I will check if count of response is greater than 0, then I will return response in the JSON format with status success and message like files have been uploaded successfully. For the else part, I will keep the status as error, and the message will be like unable to upload file, please try again. Okay, and I will keep this entire code in this try catch block. So after the validation, here I will put try block, and let me align this. Okay, this is done. Now let's navigate to the browser and test this application. So let's refresh this once. And here firstly I will try to upload the images. So I will select these two images and I will drop it inside this draggable area. Yes, after dropping the images inside this area, we have the preview. And if I'll click on upload file, yes, we got the success response as files have been uploaded. Now if we'll navigate to the uploaded files, so inside the storage app folder we have this private, and here we have these two images. Okay, now similar to this, if we'll try to upload the PDF, so I'll just refresh this, and this time I will try to upload PDF. So I will navigate to the Finder, and here I will just select this PDF file. Now I will click on this upload. Yes, the file is uploaded. Now let's check out the uploaded file, and here we have the uploaded PDF. So by using this way, you can implement single and multiple file or image upload using drag and drop functionality. And that's it. You have just built a clean and modern multi-file upload system with drag and drop functionality, having image previews, and full integration with Inertia.js. And this is integrated in Laravel 12 with React. We handled selecting multiple files, previewing images, showing file names for the documents and other files, and even removing files before upload, just like a real-world application. So this is a perfect feature for dashboards, admin panels, or any other application where user needs to upload documents or images easily. So if you learned something new or enjoyed this video, do me a small favor, just like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment if you would like to see extra features in this. And also don't forget to share this video with your fellow developers. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until then, happy coding.